There is a version of the compact tractor market that exists in dealer showrooms, in glossy brochures, and in the minds of people who have never actually owned one. In that version, you walk in, you buy the name everyone recognizes, and you go home and get to work. Simple. Clean. The brand takes care of you. Then there is the version that exists on owner forums at 11 o'clock at night, written by people who bought the name everyone recognizes and are now sitting in the dark, trying to figure out why their brand new $16,000 tractor is throwing a fault code that only a dealer laptop can clear, and the nearest dealer is 50 miles away and booked 2 weeks out, and spring planting starts Monday. Those two versions of the compact tractor market are not converging. They are moving apart. And the people who have figured that out, the ones who run tractors the way a carpenter runs a table saw, as a tool that has to work every single time, those people are not buying green and yellow anymore. They are quiet about it. They are not posting manifestos. They are just parking a Coyote, or a Branson, or a Mahindra in their equipment shed and getting on with the work. And the first-time rural property buyer who spent $3,000 more for the name on the hood is starting to notice. This is the fight nobody in the compact tractor industry wants to talk about directly, so we will. The John Deere 1 Series and 2 Series compact utility tractors, the 1025R, the 2025R, the 2038R, are the best marketed small tractors in America. That is a statement of fact, not a compliment. Deere's green and yellow identity is one of the most powerful brand associations in American agriculture. Generations of farmers grew up on it. The dealer network is familiar. The financing is easy. The resale comps look solid on paper. For a certain kind of buyer, the decision is made before they ever read a spec sheet. And John Deere has built an entire business around that buyer. The problem is what happens when that buyer actually uses the machine. The Deere 1025R runs on a fully integrated hydrostatic transmission system. That system was designed for smoothness, for ease of operation, for the buyer who wants to mow his lawn and move some gravel and feel like he is operating professional equipment without a learning curve. On flat ground, doing light work, it delivers exactly that. The machine is refined. The controls are intuitive. Nobody is disputing that. But compact tractors are not used on flat ground doing light work. They are used on hillsides, in wet clay, in frozen sod, running tillers and bush hogs and post-hole diggers and rear blades in conditions that put sustained load across every system simultaneously. And the moment you put sustained load on the Deere 1025R, the architecture of that hydrostatic system becomes a liability. The same pump that drives the tractor also handles the PTO circuit under load. Those two demands compete, and the hitch, the rated lift capacity at the hitch pin on the 1025R, sits at 681 pounds. That is the number Deere publishes. The Coyote CK 2610, which targets the exact same buyer at the exact same price point, rates its 3-point hitch lift capacity at over 1,200 pounds. That is not a marginal engineering difference. That is the difference between a tractor that can run serious rear implements in real conditions and a tractor that was engineered to look capable rather than be capable. The Coyote and Branson compact tractors in the 25 to 35 horsepower range use independent PTO systems. The PTO circuit and the drive circuit are mechanically separate. When you engage a tiller in heavy second cut sod on a Coyote CK 3510, the implement keeps spinning at full torque, regardless of what you are asking the drive system to do. The tractor weighs more than its green competitors in the same class. That extra weight lives in the cast iron transmission housing and the loader frame attachment points, not in bolt-on ballast you buy later to compensate for an underbuilt base machine. Owners who have run both describe the difference in the same way, again and again. The Deere feels like a premium appliance. The Coyote feels like a tractor. On a golf course, that distinction does not matter. On 40 acres of mixed terrain with real implement work to do, it is the only distinction that matters. If you have ever run a number on your equipment costs and realized the dealer was making more money off your tractor than you were, this channel exists for you. We cover the real ownership math every week, not the brochure version, not the financing pitch, the actual numbers. Subscribe so the next one finds you. Now, let us talk about money, because the product gap is only half the story. John Deere Compact Tractor Service has a structure that surprises first-time buyers consistently. The 50-hour initial service interval on a new Deere 1 series highlights owner maintenance options, as federal law protects your right to complete this service yourself without voiding the warranty. That service visit, oil, filter, fluids, a technician driving to your property, or you trailering to the dealer, runs somewhere between $250 and $450, depending on your region. At 50 hours, on a machine you just bought. That is not a maintenance cost. That is an enrollment fee for the privilege of owning a Deere. Parts pricing through Deere dealer counters runs 20 to 40% higher on consumables compared to equivalent parts for a Coyote or Branson sourced through independent ag suppliers. Deere tires, Deere filters, Deere hydraulic fluid specified for Deere systems. Every consumable routes back through the same network. The Coyote owner writes down the rim dimensions and walks into any farm supply store. The Deere owner learns quickly which counter to stand at. Run that gap forward 5 years on a property with regular loader work, mowing, and implement operation. The maintenance cost difference between a new Deere 1025R and a comparably equipped Coyote CK 3510 compounds to somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 in favor of the Coyote. And that is before any repair work. That is just the cost of keeping the machines running on schedule. $3,000 is a decent used tiller. $6,000 is a new mid-mount mower. It is not a rounding error on a $20,000 equipment purchase. It is a second implement you do not own because you bought the name on the hood. The buyer who runs that math in year 3 is not angry at Deere. He is angry at himself for not running it in year 1. Now here is where it stops being about engineering and pricing and starts being about something larger and harder to fix. John Deere's dealer network has been consolidating for years. In rural counties where Deere used to have a dealer within 20 miles, that nearest full-service dealer with parts on hand is now 45 to 60 miles away in many parts of the South and Midwest. The logic was the same logic that consolidates every dealer network. Fewer locations, bigger regional operations, cleaner spreadsheets. The operators in the field paid for that decision in wait times. Simultaneously, Deere has been expanding proprietary diagnostic software requirements into the compact tractor line. The same operations center telematics platform and dealer-controlled service architecture that put Deere at the center of the right-to-repair fight in agricultural equipment is now present in compact utility tractors. A hobby farmer in rural Georgia with a Deere 2025R who throws an emissions-related fault code cannot hand the keys to his brother-in-law's diesel shop 5 minutes down the road. That shop cannot clear the code without dealer software access. The tractor sits. The work waits. This is not an accident. It is a business model. Deere signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the American Farm Bureau Federation in January 2023, promising independent repair access that remains heavily contested by consumer rights groups. The implementation has been disputed. Independent repair shops across multiple states report that dealer-exclusive software locks still prevent them from clearing specific fault codes on current Deere equipment. Minnesota passed right-to-repair legislation for agricultural equipment that is among the strongest in the country. Colorado and New York have advanced similar bills. Deere has not embraced any of it willingly. The company is fighting implementation on every front, year by year, model by model. Coyote, Branson, and Mahindra have not built their business model around locking service revenue to captive dealers. Their diagnostic architecture on compact tractors does not require dealer-exclusive software for routine maintenance. An independent mechanic with standard tools can work on these machines. That is not a small thing. On a rural property where the nearest dealer is an hour away and spring has a window measured in days. The ability to fix your own equipment is the difference between getting the work done and watching it slide. The people locked out of their own tractors by a software wall they never knew existed when they signed the financing paperwork. Those are the victims in this story. They bought a brand. They got a subscription they never agreed to. Coyote has become the fastest growing, compact tractor brand in the United States by dealer count over the last several years. Branson expanded steadily through the rural property surge that followed 2020, when first-time land buyers entered the market in large numbers and discovered that Deere dealer service timelines did not match their expectations. Mahindra, the world's largest tractor manufacturer by unit volume, has been gaining specific ground in the Southeast and Appalachian markets, where owner-serviceable equipment with accessible parts costs aligns with how those buyers think about equipment. Tractor BuyNet, the largest owner community in the compact tractor category, tells the story clearly in its purchasing threads. Buyers who research before they buy trend toward Coyote, Branson, and Mahindra. Buyers who buy on brand recognition trend toward Deere and find the forums afterward. Deere still wins in one specific scenario. A 5-year-old Deere 1025R holds resale value better than a comparable Coyote or Branson on the used market. For the buyer who knows he will sell in 3 years, does no maintenance himself, and has no interest in engaging with his equipment beyond operating it, the Deere purchase can still pencil out. The dealer experience for that buyer is genuinely smooth. You drop it off. It comes back fixed. You never think about it. That is the market Deere is retreating into. Premium brand buyers who outsource everything and absorb the cost. It is a real market. It is also a shrinking one, and the buyers forming their first equipment loyalties right now are not coming from it. This is not a new pattern. It is a pattern with a name. When Honda and Kawasaki entered the American motorcycle market, Harley-Davidson had the brand identity, the dealer network, and the cultural authority. What they did not have was a machine that a working rider could maintain himself at a price that made sense. The Japanese manufacturers built that machine. They did not take Harley's existing customers. They took the next generation of buyers who had never formed a loyalty yet and gave them a reason to form one somewhere else. Harley survived by becoming a lifestyle brand. The motorcycle became almost secondary to the jacket, the rally, the identity. The transportation function, the reason motorcycles exist, quietly moved somewhere else. John Deere is making the same pivot in real time. The brand apparel, the heritage marketing, the green and yellow identity that lives on coffee mugs and ball caps in farm supply stores. That is Deere protecting what it has while the working end of the market moves. The compact tractor buyer coming in right now is YouTube educated, forum reading, and price comparing in ways that Deere's brand gravity cannot fully absorb. When those buyers have their first ownership experience with a Coyote or a Branson that they serviced themselves and ran for 5 years without a dealer visit, the second purchase is not a competition. It is automatic. Deere is losing the first purchase. The second one was already gone. And if you think what is happening in compact tractors is a problem for Deere, wait until you see what is happening to their subcompact utility vehicle line. Because the brand eating that category is not Korean, it is not Indian, and it is not the name anyone expected. That video is already done. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.